In 1986, a group of 15 school children got on a yellow school bus to go on a field trip to Lake Lanier in Georgia. They were all between 9 and 11 years old from Mary Lynn Elementary School. That morning, the children were excited. They packed snacks, cameras, and sleeping bags. They waved goodbye to their parents and teachers, excited about a camping trip near Lake Lanier in Georgia, which was built over a cemetery. But they never arrived at the lake. The bus never arrived. The bus vanished. There was no crash, no call for help. No sign of the children or the driver, just silence. Days turned into months, then years. Search teams looked for them. Families hoped. Rumors spread. Some said it was an accident. Others thought the children had been kidnapped. But nothing was ever found. Eventually, people gave up. The case went cold. The memory of the missing children slowly faded away. However, almost 40 years later, something unusual occurred. A construction crew digging in the woods near Lake Lanier found something buried deep in the ground. It was old, it was yellow, it was a school bus. The local deputy, Isabella Whitaker, got the call early in the morning. She had just made her coffee when she heard on the radio. Buried school bus found, possibly linked to missing kids. Her heart stopped. She knew the story well, because she had been in that same class. She had missed the field trip because she had chickenpox, and she never forgot it. Isabella drove to the site right away. The woods were covered in fog. It was quiet. The construction workers had stopped digging. Part of the bus was sticking out of the dirt. It was rusty and broken, but still clearly a school bus. Inside, the seats were still there. A small pink lunchbox lay under one of them. A single child's shoe sat on the step. But there were no children. No bones, no driver. The bus was empty. On the front dashboard was a class list with 15 names, written by a teacher. But someone had written on top in red marker, "We never made it to the lake." Isabella drove to the county records office. She asked for the old file. The clerk brought it out. It was dusty and sealed. Inside were photos of the children, lists of their belongings, and one page stamped, "Missing, presumed lost, no foul play." But Isabella never believed that. The driver, Carl Davis, had been a new hire. He had no family and disappeared right after the trip. And the teacher listed for that trip was Ms. Edwell, who was someone no one remembered hiring. Her address was fake. It was like she never existed. As Isabella looked through the class photos, she saw a familiar face. Nora Kelly. Nora had lived 2 houses down from Isabella when they were kids. They had played together and shared popsicles. Isabella hadn't thought about her in years. Then something unexpected happened. Later that day, a couple out fishing found a woman walking near the lake. She was barefoot, dirty, and confused. At the hospital, the nurse reported that the woman repeatedly claimed to be 12 years old, but she looked to be in her 30s. Then the nurse showed Isabella the name the woman had written, Nora Kelly. Isabella rushed to the hospital. Nora was weak, but when she saw Isabella, she smiled and said, "You had chickenpox. You were supposed to come too." Nora told her story. She said the bus never made it to the lake. Instead, the driver stopped at a fork in the road where a strange man waited. He told the children that the lake wasn't ready. Then everything went dark. Nora woke up in a barn, but it had no windows. The clocks always said it was Tuesday, no matter the day. They were told to forget their names and their past. Nora said a man named Mr. Avery and a woman kept them locked up. Later, there was another man they called Father Elijah. He wasn't a priest, but he acted like one. Over time, they were moved to different buildings. They were given fake names. Some children forgot everything who they were, where they came from. Isabella followed Nora's clues and found an old barn deep in the woods. She searched the area and saw something hidden in the grass. A small purple bracelet with the name Kimi on it. That was one of the names on the original class list. Soon after, Isabella found another photo inside the bus. It showed a group of children standing in front of a building. Their faces were blank. But Nora pointed out the kids herself, Marcy Kimi, and the man in the background. "That's Father Elijah," she whispered. Then Isabella found a boy in another old building. He was about 10 years old. He didn't remember his real name, just the name Jonah, which they gave him. Had carvings of names on the walls. Some were crossed out, some were circled. In another room, Isabella found photos of kids crying, eating, and sleeping in tiny rooms. Each photo had a name, such as obedience, silence, or glory. One photo showed a girl with a purple bracelet, the same one Isabella found near the barn. On the back of the photo, someone had written disobeyed. Then she found a tape recorder in a room called the garden. The voice on the tape was a child's. It said, "This is Nora. I can't tell anymore, but I remember names. If someone finds this, don't believe them when they say we ran away. We were taken." But it wasn't Nora's voice. It was Kimi. They found her. Kimi was still alive, locked in a small underground room. She was scared and pale, but she remembered everything. At the hospital, she and Nora reunited. Kimi had kept a journal filled with coded notes and names. She had written about what happened, who escaped, who vanished, who forgot. She remembered a girl named Cassia who drew pictures of children running into the light. She had tried to leave behind clues, Kimi said. Cassia left the light on for us. That's when Isabella found out that Cassia had survived too. She had become someone else. Maya Ellison, a quiet woman who owned the local bookstore. She had no memory of her past, but when she saw the photos and drawings, she remembered. "I thought it was just a dream," she said. Aaron, another survivor, came forward. He admitted he had helped enforce the rules when he was younger. Said he stayed behind because he was scared. But now he wanted to help. He led Isabella to a hidden bunker in the woods. It was called Haven. Inside were small rooms, children's drawings, and a locked case with a book. The book was full of rules. Obedience is safety. Memory is danger. Behind a sealed wall, they found room 6. Inside were hundreds of photographs. In the middle was a painting of a girl running through trees. Beneath it were the words, "Cassia remembered. She left the light on for us." The truth began to come out. Some of the missing children had died. Some had survived and built new lives. Others were never found. Nora moved to Seattle and started painting again. Kimi stayed in Morning Lake and visited the lake every week. Maya began reading to children at her bookstore and helped kids who felt lost. Aaron left town, saying he was going to look for other missing children. Isabella built a memorial by the lake. She placed a photo beneath it the mural Cassia had painted. The sign read, "In memory of those who waited in silence. Your names are remembered." Of the 15 children who disappeared in 1986, only 3 were confirmed alive. Nora, Kimi, and Cassia. However, there were signs that others had also survived. Yes, some left messages, some left drawings. Some, like Kimi, held on for decades, waiting for someone to remember. Now, they had been found. Their names were never truly forgotten. They just needed someone to bring them back into the light. The story of the Morning Lake 15 reminds us that even when the world forgets, the truth remains waiting to be discovered. These children were silenced for decades, but through strength, courage, and memory, their voices were heard again. Some were lost, some were found, but all of them mattered. There are more stories like this, stories hidden in the shadows, waiting for someone to look, to listen, and to believe. If you want to help bring forgotten stories to light, subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us uncover the truth, honor those who were left behind, and make sure no name is ever forgotten again. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and join us on our journey to tell the stories they tried to bury. Thank you for watching.